Good day, it's Rob here from Integration Kings, and I just wanted to go over bringing to account additional costs in DIA related to a purchase order. Now, these additional costs could be like importing into the country, or freight, or a powder coater pro cost that you want to attribute to a large purchase order. So the first thing and the first step is to always ensure that you've got your purchase order into the system for the original product, and let's just pretend that's that one there. Just want to make sure you know what it was for and you know what the products were. And then we've got our custom costs for customs. So we just go simple purchase order. We would select the supplier. This is purely a worked example. We'd tick that it's going to be a blind receipt, and there's no stock to bring into this, and make sure you've got all the particular contact details correct. It's important to get that correct because that'll sync over to 0, and the same with anything over here. Now put in the particular date of the tax invoice, put the invoice number in, the date and the due date. Then rather than using the product area, we use the service items, and we build up the tax invoice. So the first one might be duties. Now you can specify the name, or you can add, you can add new items on the fly to allow you to do the input. And the things you want to make sure you get correct is the GST and where you're going to allocate that cost to. So we're just going to put it, in this particular case, I'm just going to put it into the cost of goods at the moment. Then I'm going to say, look, I've got GST on this. And we're going to gross up the GST so we get it right on the bottom of the document, because Xero doesn't like us using the GST on import from DIA to Xero, so we have to use this function. So we simply gross it up, and then we reverse that transaction with a negative, which you can do. But you take the GST free expense option. This way you get the GST correct on your document. And we'll put the last cost in because I'm working off a worked example. Got some government charges here. So bring those in. 83. Okay. So then you want to make sure that matches your document. Once you know that, the other thing you can do, which we do highly recommend, is once you hit authorize. So the other thing is here, you've got to make sure that you're putting these to an expense account, not an inventory account. So you could just at the top of the document here choose to map it to an expense account, and then each of these will follow suit down here. I haven't selected that one right. Authorize the transaction, it'll let you lock it in. Then we do recommend attaching the genuine PDF or transaction documentation to support the transaction. If your Xero integration is set up that this will sync to Xero as well, it'll ensure that the tax invoice, when it goes to accounts payable in Xero, will sync that across. Okay, and then the last step is, now that you've put that in, you've got the GST matching, you might want to attribute this cost into that purchase order we talked about at the start of this video. So you click on expense and merely select the cost of goods that you want to attribute it into. So for example, this might be one of them here. I want to take that cost of goods and I want to allocate it to a purchase order, and I can select from the purchase order. So let's just pretend I was going to go to that one, and you put how much of this overall cost you want to attribute against this. So you can attribute the purchase. Say you had one custom cost for 2 purchase orders, you can split it however you want to proportion it. 704. Basically put that all in, and then click save. And what it'll do is it'll take the cost of that additional, like the custom cost, and it's going to attribute it into that purchase order forever and a day. That's how you use this module. Then click save and then go back to the purchase order. It will then allocate and attribute that cost into those transactions and increase their average cost. If you've got any questions on this, let us know, but hopefully that helps you through this process. Thanks, guys.